Minister, very good afternoon to you, and thank you for agreeing to join us this afternoon. Very good afternoon to you, Minister, and thank you for agreeing to join us.
Yes.
Let's start with something that we all thought was quite interesting, the growth prospects for South Africa, the 1.4% that you've spoken of.
In medium term, yeah.
Yes. So just explain that optimism, because it has been described as a little bit overstated given the current state of affairs.
No. You know, there are different people with different forecasting. When you do a forecasting, you make certain assumptions, right? For instance, even within the same stable, there may be disagreement between the Reserve Bank and National Treasury, because we may think that they've overstated the figure for load trading. So the different forecasts depend on the assumptions people make. We have made our own assumptions. On the basis of our own assumptions, we think 2023 will be 0.9. We're not that optimistic. But over long term, there will be an improvement which on average will give us 1.4.
Yeah, and based on the fact that we've heard CEO of ESCOM, outgoing CEO Andre de Ruyter, saying we're likely to see power cuts for the rest of the year, do you think, or do you foresee that there might be an adjustment on that, just based on the operations in key sectors that don't...
You know, when you make an assessment, you are making an adjustment on the basis of available information. Let us give an example. We said last year, 2022 will be 1.9, but the performance in the third quarter of last year has made us to revise numbers to 2.5 for last year. So if any new information comes, or the intensity of the load shedding surpasses our prediction and our forecast, we will have to revise the numbers.
Let's talk a little bit about the allocations that you announced, SAA being one of them, the 1 billion rand. Can you explain that to us? Because there was an understanding that with the consortium taking over the airline, they would be putting in the operational funding there. So if you could just clarify for us what exactly that is.
This is not the operational funding. We, ESCOM, had debts that were identified during the business rescue processes. And government then make a decision that the business rescue processes must be funded. And that's what we're funding at the moment. We're not funding the operations of SAA. By the way, SAA is funding its operations quite effective even before the takeover by Jakarta. So they are running. They need more money for more aircraft. So we're funding the debt component, not the operations.
Okay. What about the South African Post Office, some funds going to them as well? What would they be used for exactly?
You know, there are a lot of things. South African Post Office has got a number of challenges in this. You must know by now there's SARS has attached some of their assets, the medical aid problems, there's the pension fund problems. There's also no clear future as where the end state of the post office should be. Part of the conversation, as I've said, is where that end state will be. How do we minimize the risk for the state moving forward?
Let's get the big elephant in the room into this conversation, and that being ESCOM, the debt plan that you outlined today that will be going forward. Are there no concerns on your side, the pressure that this is going to be putting on the fiscus, as well as the debt servicing costs that are going to be increasing quite significantly?
First, we make the point there that already a number of people have penciled that debt on our balance sheet. Even the IMF have said, because you've guaranteed and these guys are not likely to pay, we're already putting it into your balance sheet. Right? So part of the difficulty we have is because that is already the case. So even if we're not going to take it, if the eventuality is that we've guaranteed that debt. So we've got to remove that fiscal risk by taking some of the debt on our balance sheet. But what we require for ESCOM moving forward is that they must then make tangible improvements, which include operational improvements. What we have done, we've appointed a group of international engineers to do an assessment of ESCOM, independent, not biased people like myself, independent people who are going to look at the operational efficiencies of the institution and what it needs to do, and we'll build those into our conditions for ESCOM.
Yeah, and that's very important, the conditions. If you could highlight some of the most important ones and the kind of oversight to make sure that ESCOM is actually making a return on this investment.
Let me start with the oversight. There will be a three-way agreement. That agreement is between us and DPE and ESCOM, including the board of ESCOM, where the board of ESCOM will have to take responsibility and accountability to ensure that the conditions agreed are executed. That's the accountability line. Yeah? And secondly, there are penalties for not complying with those conditions. So we're building nice checks and balances to ensure that ESCOM will perform.
Two final questions for you very briefly, Minister. The conversations or the engagements between ESCOM and the municipalities around that debt, are you basically indicating that ESCOM should probably consider writing the municipal debt off?
Let me just say, use an example called a municipality called Maluta Pufung. I don't know whether you know that. Sarah Smith. They owe ESCOM 7 billion. There's not even a chance on earth that they will ever pay it. Is what I mean. What we need to do is to work with ESCOM and that municipality to restructure in such a manner that municipality, its cost structure as such is effective, and also there's a revenue management system which is efficient. So those are the things we're going to do on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. And then finally, Minister, the grey listing. Many economists saying it's a done deal. The plan for us is now to work out how we're going to get out. You did outline something. What are the most important components, but also the time frame that you're giving yourselves as government to get out of the grey listing, should we be grey listed?
Let me just say, I'm not allowed to comment until Friday. There's going to be a press briefing on Saturday by our delegation there. But let me say, this grey listing has been made as like a huge earthquake.
Is it not, Minister?
No.
But of course it is.
No, it's an enhanced monitoring by everybody. It's what is called an enhanced monitoring. You know, if I go to a bank, because I'm a politically exposed person, there's an enhanced scrutiny.
But we've lacked with that scrutiny, and that's why we're being looked at.
I'm just giving an example. I'm just an example. Bank does not treat me the same way as it treats you. All right? That's all that's going to happen, is that our transactions and then our trade with the other countries we're not going to be treated all the same way as others. There are a whole range of countries that are in it. Morocco is in it. Saudi Arabia is in it, and a whole range of other countries. Mauritius is just managing its exit. The country is not falling.
Yeah, but we mustn't get comfortable in it, is the point I'm trying to get into, Minister, that we work to get out.
We're not complacent. As we have said, they identify 67 weaknesses. 67 weaknesses. As we speak, there are about 15 of those which have not been successfully dealt with according to them. So, which means we as a country have responded positively and are working hard. We're not complacent. If we do get to that enhanced what we call grey listing monitoring, we will then work hard to exit out of it as quickly as possible.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that, Minister.
No,
we will have those conversations continuously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that is Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana saying they're not going to get comfortable by the fact that we're going to be grey listed. They know the gravity of the issues there, and they will work hard to get out of that grey listing. As I said, Heidi Jokos, it's been widely expected that South Africa has been grey listed, but the Minister, as you heard there, are quite confident that we'll be able to get out. I was hoping to touch on matters of the wage bill with him, but time was against us. But he did touch on many other of the big components there, including ESCOM.